welcome to a special edition of Local Marana Live. Edgar Soto's here with us.
Yeah.
We're going to jump into talking about the District 3 race here in just a minute, Edgar. But welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. I love being here.
Well, we love having you here. I don't know. This is third or fourth time for you and me, and Scott jumped in a couple of times.
Yep.
Hey, we're going to throw it to Scott real quick, give a quick weather and traffic update, and Scott's jet lagged just a little bit. Correct?
Yes, you guys are hitting me a little early, a little off guard. I came in off of the Hawaiian Islands last night, and so this is how dialed in I am right now. Is I just tried to Google traffic and weather at random. So of course the internet doesn't know where you're at, and so if you're just typing in traffic and weather and you're asking what's going on, I can tell you that driving in, it looked a little smoky. You guys know something that I don't, because I just came in and I was like, ooh, do we have a local fire or what's going on? Do you guys know anything about that?
I noticed the same thing coming down Silverbell, but I just real quick, here's your cure for jet lag. Well, okay, so what you need to do, and you don't need to do, but what I would suggest, and I've done, you need to fast. So don't eat, like if you're leaving that morning, don't eat till you get to the destination. And for some reason, that works. Like if you just can fast till you get to your new destination. And
really,
I don't know. You could check out if there's
hard.
the research out there to see that's the case.
Man. So no eating on the flight back. Then
no
either.
eating on the flight back. You just got to wait till you.
Dude, it was like
airplane
15
food
hours.
is not any good anyways.
That's actually not much of a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And Scott, can you tell us about the weather? I mean, it's going to be hot till what, October?
Yeah. You guys stand by on that, and I'll get you some weather here in a second when I shake my brain loose, and because we are a growing company. And so what we do is we're not quite like Joe Rogan yet. The person doing all the video directing also has to do all the internet searching, and that's like doing this. So it's a lot happening at once, and especially when you're a little bit jet lagged, you might. I'll get you something though. But I think more importantly is our man Edgar here on the final push, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mail ballots went out July 3rd. Mail-in ballots.
11, so everybody's had them about roughly a week.
Yeah. So what I know is that at least in the Democratic Party, I think 39% vote in that first week. So a lot of people have already cast their vote. So yeah, this has been so interesting. I mean, the other day, some of my family campaign team saw me on an interview, and they're like, Edgar, you need to get some rest. So my brother-in-law, Augie, was like, we're having our campaign meeting, and we're all just spent because we've been canvassing. We've been doing everything like 24/7. And he's like, you know what? Everybody go home. Don't think about the campaign. Don't do anything. Just go chill for recharge. And that was so helpful because like my sister Edie, who's great and I love her, but she's on me. Like, what are you doing today? What are you doing tonight? What have you done the last hour for the campaign? Like, she's
God love
on
those
me.
sisters, right?
But, and so she couldn't, and I know she was probably chomping at the bit wanting to text me and ask me what's going on, what's happening, have you done this? Anytime something comes out or I need to be somewhere, she expects me to be at 4 different places at one time. But, no, I love her because I'm telling you, when this is done, there's a couple people on my campaign team that I'm saying, these are the people you want helping you on your team because they're on it, and that's what needs to happen.
It's exhausting. We're heavily involved with what you do, but not nearly like the front line like Augie and your sister and people are. And when you send all the pictures and the video of what you guys are doing, it's just I'm in awe that number one that you got a great team. You have got an incredible team, and they are so passionate about making this thing happen. I know you feel blessed because of that.
Not just blessed, but you feel some pressure because here's why I feel the pressure. You have people who've given you money, who've given you time. I mean, 4th of July, we had over 50 people out there canvassing. That's next Saturday, we had over 30-some people. So these people are putting their sweat equity, they're putting their money, and so you don't want to disappoint them.
Right.
And so I have been like, when I get up in the morning, before I go to bed at night, I've been putting time in. And so here's what I've learned though. Okay. So our You know, you've heard this before. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, amongst those life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? I want to flip that. I'm saying the happiness of the pursuit, because this has been such an amazing experience. I've enjoyed this in so many different ways because it's connected me with so many people, and whether Democrats or Republicans, they're Pima Countyans, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but, you know, I mean, Arizonians.
What is now?
I don't know. Tucsonans, you know, all these different parts of it, from Ajo to Arivaca to 3 Points. You know, last night I was at an event. Well, it's not an event. It was an actual meeting with the Horsemen and Rito Racetrack. And you want to talk about passionate people. I mean, we have a historical tradition at the racetrack, right? And so this is a county-owned or county-operated racetrack, and there's some things that need to happen in order for us to have horse racing. And there's a lot of positives to this. You know, like I've said, with anything that we're doing from the Southern Arizona Sports Tourism and Film Authority, we're trying to bring people together. We're trying to have events, to create experience, to create memories, to make Southern Arizona a destination, a place where people and their families can have these amazing experiences. So this is part of it. And everybody has a different niche, right? Some people love soccer, so you got soccer fields out. Some people love horse racing. And that's what makes this diverse group so interesting, is that we all have these different passions. But when you come down and you have a conversation with that person across from you, you know, you realize that we want the same things. And the challenge is we want to have, you know, we all kind of want it in a different way, but we all want happiness. We all want to be able to have a good time with our families. We want to have a beautiful Sonoran desert so we can go bike riding, we could go hiking, we could have these amazing experiences. We want to be able to go to a horse race. We want to be able to go to a soccer game. We want to be able to host these things here in Southern Arizona so we don't have to take our money and our time and our families outside of Southern Arizona. 2
points right there, and I'm a big advocate of both. One, we want a good quality of life for our citizens.
There you go.
And we all want the same thing, right? I mean, even with all this political discourse that's going on, my pushback to that always is 95% of us want the same 10 things. You just rattled off a bunch of them.
That's the part where I'm realizing, you know, so politics or government was established to bring people together and compromise and to come up with solutions. But what's happened, because it's become so polarized, that it's really separated us. And so I'm like, wait, let's get back to what government was established for. Government was here, and all political power is inherent of the people. Government is there to protect and maintain individual rights. So let's get back to that. Let's figure out how we can work together and get things done. And that's because even within the Democratic Party, like, I'm realizing, like, this group doesn't like this group. Oh, you talk to that, like, and I'm like, okay, you know, so you're learning these things. And my whole MO, and this is the way I operate as a vice president at Pima Community College, is we assume good intent. So when you're going into a situation, you assume good intent because most people want the same things. Now, I know that might be naive for some people, but in order to get things done, you got to establish trust, right? And when you don't have trust, things take forever to get done. There's all kinds of regulations, there's things. So we got to get to the point where we can trust each other again, that we're making good choices for our constituents, for our communities.
You know, the other point was we want to be a destination. I want Pima County, Tucson, Marana, I want us to be a place where people want to come. They're not going to come in the summertime probably because it's pretty hot. But the other 8 months of the year, this place is it's a Garden of Eden. Yep. And how can that's part of your challenge.
I think,
we as a community is we want to be that shining example of how to do things right, especially when the weather's right.
Growth is coming to Southern Arizona, and I think I've said that, and it's pushed a little people away because they don't want to see that growth and the development because they are worried that it's going to impact our environment. And it is. And it's going to impact our habitat. And it is. But if we know this growth is coming and we can be strategic about it.
Exactly.
And we can make sure that if it's tourism, it's responsible tourism. If it's developer, it's responsible development. these businesses, industry, aren't coming over here and pillaging our communities, making all the money, and then leaving.
Right.
If you're going to come to Pima County, Southern Arizona, you better come with something. You got to come and you got to make it sustainable. You got to bring good jobs. If you're going to develop, you need to restore whatever you, not say, whatever you developed, and you need to revegetate. So there's ways to do this in responsible ways, because I know that if we're strategic about this and we do it in a way that's responsible, we're going to have the best of everything. There's got to be a balance there. There's got to be, we want good jobs. We want tourism, but we want responsible tourism. We want responsible business and industry.
And that's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, no one expects it to be easy. But the reality of it is, when do we stop? I'm one of those, should we have stopped when I got here? Should we have stopped when you got here? If we'd have stopped when you got here, I'd have never been allowed to come to my home.
Well,
right?
I think if there's anything that COVID taught us is that it's a different world now. People can work remotely.
Yes.
So when people from some of these dense cities are looking for a place to call home, where are they looking? They're looking over here in Tucson, Arizona. They're looking in Pima County. They're looking in Ajo. So, because we're so beautiful and we got this majestic Sonoran Desert, we got a beautiful habitat, people are going to come here. And so if we don't do this in a responsible way, it's going to be just a cluster of all kinds of different things going on. These economic gardens that we talk about, there's potential there. There's these 15-minute neighborhoods, so you can have everything you need within 15 minutes. They're called walkable neighborhoods. So
we need more of that, Edgar.
Well, then you reduce the carbon footprint.
Exactly.
Because people are able to get from place to place. So this RTA Next, right, which, is going to be helping us, connect and give access to some of our unincorporated cities or towns, right? So, this stuff is important that we help fund this and we do things that we could do in a responsible way. And there's possibilities there. We got to figure out this housing thing. We need affordable housing here.
Boy, I was trying to think this morning. I think I called you. When did you announce your candidacy? Was it around the holidays?
Yeah, it's right around the holidays.
Because it seemed to me like I called you over like Christmas holiday, maybe first of the year. I remember where I was at, and boom, you called me. I'm like, I'm not going to get him. He's going to be out for, But boom, within just minutes, you were calling me back, and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I think. And I'm like, well, let's go, man.
Well, I want you to share this because I responded to you right away, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I'm telling all these communities and constituents and places. I will always be accessible. And people can always call me, because I've had people call me, hey, or email me, your sign is blocking traffic, right? Hey, we'll go move it right away. Yeah. Hey, I don't like seeing your mug every time I drive out of my neighborhood. That my home's my sanctuary. Hey, after July 30th, I promise you I'll move it, but I need to get access.
Hey, he's going to put it back up for the general election, so don't get too happy without that being there.
So people are going to call me and they're not going to be happy.
Sure,
they're not going to agree with everything, but I think we need to continue to have a conversation. Why is it that an atheist and a priest can have a relationship? What I mean? Have a friendship. So there's things that you can disagree on, but you don't need to be toxic. You don't need to blow everything up if we don't think correctly on everything. What's the saddest thing I tell you that's difficult for me is I go out and do canvassing, right? And we got this software that tells you, okay, this is who voted, so you go to these houses, but then I'm skipping so many houses. And I'm like, I want to talk to that person.
Yeah.
I want to talk to, but the way things are set up, you've got to get through the primary and then you got to get to the general. And it's challenging because, a lot of times, not everybody's able to vote for you. Because there's 37,000 independents in District 3. There's 39,000 Democrats, 37,000 independents, 31,000 Republicans. So these independents, if they're going to vote, they have to request a ballot. They have to make sure that it's difficult. It's hard for them to vote for me. But I mean, they still can. So I think you can still request a ballot, or
you can till
July 19th.
Yeah. Full disclosure, when I called you, and it was over the holidays, you called me back in minutes and said, "Hey, I'm in a." You were somewhere speaking to a group of people. And I don't remember what it was, and you said, but I'll call you back as soon as I get out of here. So full disclosure, I call you over the holidays, not expecting to hear from you for a couple of weeks because it was the holidays. It was after Christmas, but you called me back within just a couple, 2 or 3 minutes and said, "Hey, Clint, I'm in a meeting or whatever you were doing. I'll call you back." And then you called me back in an hour, and we chatted and.
Yeah,
and I think that was early January, if I'm not mistaken.
It probably was, and one of the things that some people give me a hard time about, like I don't take vacations, or what's interesting is that like at Pima Community College, I've been there for 27 years, right, 28 now. And a while back, I said, you know what? I've never taken a sick leave. I've never taken a sick day. Yeah. I've never taken vacation. Actually, but I love what I do. It doesn't feel like a job. But let me just say this: after I said, I had over 14 hours in sick leave and all, and I've never taken a sick leave. I got sick 3 times within 3 months. I got COVID. So I actually used some of my sick leave. So that's what don't. I kind of jinxed myself, but. It was funny that I had mentioned I'd never been sick, so I kind of don't say that anymore because what's the Moore's or something? What
Newton's law?
Murphy's law. You got it. That's it. And so so just kind of stay humble. Yeah, Moore's law is the technology one. Every 2 years, technology advances. And Newton's law, I can't explain that. I don't know. That's a whole different thing.
What do you got? What do you got there, Scott? I see something popping up in the.
So I got one of the things I wanted to talk with Edgar about is recently you were interviewed by the Tucson Chamber, and. You were talking about affordable housing and pro-business and a lot of things that are really important to folks in Pima County. And you also got the highest score of the candidates that are running in District 3 as far as suitability for the Tucson Chamber of Commerce, which is a pro-business thing. And I wanted to bring that up because I wanted to see if you were willing to talk about that experience. And I'm throwing it here in the feed, and so you can see the 7.5 here, they took the time
did they put the YouTube, the actual video?
Bro, look, did they? Tucson Metro Chamber has got all the scores, and then so that people can go on there. This is on TucsonChamber.org.
Oh, gotcha.
And see their candidates, but out of the District 3, you got the highest ones, and I was just curious why. Why do you feel that was? What do you think was resonating with the people?
I was a little nervous going to that because people are you a business owner? Are you that? And so I think sometimes people think that. Because you haven't been a business owner. But then a friend of mine said, "Hey, you used to give baseball lessons. You kind of had," and so I said, "Darn, I should have mentioned that because I had some experience with that." So, but the reason I think I did well because I understand that small business is the lifeblood of our community.
Amen.
And
Preach.
so that we need to, incentivize that in some sort of way. I mean, they supply jobs, they do things. One of the things that I shared that I did when I was part of the Flynn Brown Fellowship, we had to create a bill, right? The bill, and then we presented to some legislators. It's this fellowship that has to do with civic leadership. And one of the bills that we put together was apprenticeship for small businesses. So we're talking 50 people or less. And we want to do apprenticeships through maybe working through the community colleges. So they subsidize that. So then this person could be an apprentice, but still get paid because when people are trying to go to school and they have to work, they have childcare. There's all these different things. But if we can make an apprenticeship where it's actually a paid apprenticeship for these smaller businesses,
let's do it.
I talked to someone that had been through an apprenticeship, and they said they learned more in 3 months of an apprenticeship than taking classes for a year. So I shared that story. I think I shared that story. So then I also shared how, that these economic gardens that we talk about, how all like what's good for this place is good for that place. What's good for that county is good for Pima County. So I think they understood that I'm willing to work and I'm willing to, do things that are going to help incentivize small business and responsible small business and make sure that, we have the safety because the most important job we have as leaders, as elected officials, is to keep our people healthy and safe, right? So making sure that we have things in place so people can do what they need to do.
Boy, we could go on forever on the small business because you nailed it. Small business, I say we because I'm one of them. You know, there's 32 million businesses in the United States, and 31.5 of them are small businesses. So you tell me how important small business is. We are the backbone. We are the innovators. Big business do great. I'm not anti-big business. I'm fine with that because we all aspire to be big businesses, small business, or at least most of them. But the small business have always been the backbone of American economy, society, where we treat each other more like family when we work together. I hadn't seen Scott for a week. It felt like a month. There was this big embrace when he came back. We're brothers.
It's family, yeah.
It's teamwork, and we oversimplify it by saying family and all that. And a lot of small businesses maybe aren't, but we are. We eat together, we share together, we cry together, and we laugh together. And we grow together. We're better by operating that way. So when you talk about small business, you're like right in my sweet
I was
zone.
part of the 520 sports with Bill and David Adams, right? And it was out in Bianchi's on Silver Bell and Speedway there. And so the owner, Vince Bianchi, I've known his dad. His dad was a Marine. Him and my dad were good friends because they're both Marines. I was a Marine, but Vince and I are same age. He graduated from South Point in 1987, and I graduated Tucson High in 1987. But we competed against ourselves in soccer. You know, I was a baseball player, but I played soccer my senior year. And I've known him since I was like literally 10 years old. We used to go over there, and I remember we used to play Asteroids and Galaga and all these Pac-Man, and he had these cool video machines. But we'd walk there from where I lived, and in the heat of summer, I don't know if we just didn't feel heat when I was 10, 12 years old.
Don't.
And we'd walk by ourselves 2 miles down. But that's my family. Like Vince is family, and I've known them, and I go there all the time. And we don't agree politically on everything, but the one thing we can agree on is how important small business. I mean, he's providing jobs for people. He's having places where people can have really good, Italian food. And so him and I, he really gives me insight on, he loves that I'm going to be accessible, because if there's some coming down from the county, whether it's a health permit or whatever it might be, how does this impact the common small business owner? We need to know that. Does it help? Does it hurt? How can we put things in place that help streamline, whether it's permits or getting things done, to work in intertwine and work in a positive way? So Vince Bianchi is an example of that.
I won't call any organization by name, but it's a bureaucratic office, let's say, bureaucratic division, bureaucratic department. And I asked them one time, I said, as a business operating in this community, what I would really hope and expect from you is encouragement, but more importantly, education. But I feel enforcement from you. And you know what that person said?
What's that?
Enforcement pays more.
Yeah.
See, that's not, to me, that's not the right approach from a bureaucratic situation. So that's why yours is such a fresh
So this
take
is
on
the way
this.
that should work. All right. So we have, at Pima Community College, we have an accreditor called the Higher Learning Commission. So they come in and they make sure that what we're doing, how we're doing it, is positive, is following rules, regulate, whatever. And they accredit us to make sure that they can say our credits can transfer and do things. So they're really important, right? And so, but when they come in, they're not about the gotcha.
Yeah.
And you're honest. You say, hey, we got to fix this. We're working on this. When you try to say, try to hide something or do something, that works against you. If they see that you're working in the right direction and what you're doing, and that's how our government should be. It shouldn't be like, I got you, I'm going to give you this fine for doing
here's
this.
a ding.
Hey, here's something that's going on. Here's some best practices, how you can do it better. It should be there to support you and give you what you need to do it the right way. Because, we want to make sure our food's safe.
Absolutely.
That people are doing all these things that are making sure that people are safe and healthy. But government shouldn't be, or at least those people that work in within the government that health permits or zoning, whatever.
Right.
It shouldn't be that I got you.
Yeah.
It should be, hey, here's what's going on. Let me educate you on this. That's the interaction that should happen to make sure that we're all working together. And I think a lot of times some of those people in those positions, they want to play the gotcha. No. That's not where you're there to help and support. Your tax money, everything that you put forward, paying property taxes, is going towards paying your salary, and we're your, the people are your boss or my boss. Yeah.
Depending on how harsh you are, I've used that. I'm like, you got to remember, you work for me. I don't work for you.
Yeah.
And having been a business owner, and I'm not going to go off on a rip, but having been a business owner now for 30 plus years, I see that far too often, the enforcement over the education. Believe me, I'm not saying all small business operators are perfect and get it all right and they're doing it for the right reasons. I'm not saying that, but most are. Can we agree on that?
Okay.
Yeah. So educate
What do you
me.
think? What do you two think drives that? Is it people are hungry for power and then they finally get it and they abuse it, or what in your makeup, Edgar, would prevent you from becoming that?
It comes down from the top to the bottom. It's building the culture. You've got to create that culture where it's not, hey, I'm gonna tell on this person so I could look good in this person. No, we're all here together. Our goal is to have the healthiest, the safest restaurants, small businesses. And so we got to work together to make that happen. And so I think it comes from the top.
I agree.
And I think Jan Lesher is doing an amazing job as far as, kind of changing that culture to make sure that here, guys, the county is here to support you and serve you. We're not there to, create barriers. And I think a lot of time people see government, or at least local government, in that way. No, we are here to maintain and protect individual rights so that they don't infringe on other people's rights. So I think that, having that mind shift of not hiring people or not getting people involved that are power hungry or that like to, slap people's hands. No, you're there to educate. We're all educators.
Right. That's Scott, great question, by the way. That is a great question. And that's, to me, you gave the perfect answer, Edgar. Again, having been an operator for X number of years, I think it starts the culture at the very top.
So there's businesses out there doing this right. They talked about when the NASA, when the 7 astronauts, when the shuttle exploded, right? And there was somebody there that there was the O-ring and all these different things that could have been done that to prevent that. Everybody should have a voice. We should be inclusive. For me at my place, best idea wins. I don't care if it comes from wherever it comes from, best idea wins, right? And so we need to create those conditions and those environments where we can have force multipliers, people that are going to make us better, that we can, amplify the goodness. So that's the point. You got to create that culture, and it starts from the top.
I agree.
So from the Pima County Board of Supervisors to the county administrator to the county, the 3 county administrators, Dr. Garcia, Steve Holmes, and Carmine Du Bois, and all of them have to create this culture. And I think it's moving in that direction.
Well, having been an operator in this county for 19 years, I would say it absolutely is.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little break, Scott?
We're up against a break. Why don't we? That was a good spot to hang on there, and then we will have more with Edgar Soto.
We'll be right back. Yeah, go.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Zuppi, running for the Marana Town Council. As a resident of Marana, I've witnessed the positive growth that has created a strong community where people in all stages of life want to live. Unfortunately, with growth comes traffic. One of my top priorities and goals is to work towards securing funding for the improvement of Marana's high-traffic I-10 interchanges and local roadways. Let's keep Marana moving forward together. Vote Melissa Zuppi, Marana Town Council.
Hi, I'm Ed Honey, and I'm running for mayor of the town of Marana. I can assure you that if you have water now in the town of Marana, you will have it for the rest of your life. Water is not going to go away. Our water table in North Marana has gone from 300 feet down to 140 feet at the current status. Water will be here forever. Please support Melissa Zuppi, Roxanne Ziegler, and Ed Honey for Marana Town Council.
I'm Edgar Soto, and I'm running for Pima County Supervisor District 3. I am blessed to be supported by these three important women in my family, my mom and two sisters, and I'm humbled to be endorsed by the National Organization for Women. They are confident that I will improve the lives of women in Pima County when I'm elected in November.
Join Edgar Soto in building a better future for Pima County. Together, we can create good jobs, protect our environment, and ensure everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Vote Edgar Soto.
I'm Roxanne Ziegler, and I'm running for re-election for Marana Town Council. I've worked for you, the residents of Marana, since 1995, when I started with the Planning and Zoning Commission. 2 years later, I won my first election. We started with a blank canvas, and I'm proud to have helped shape our community into what you see today. In uncertain times, we need experience and proven leadership. I would be honored.
And we are back.
We're back.
We're back. Hey, Edgar, again, thanks for jumping in here. What do you think this is, rip with me here a little bit. What's the one thing you've learned over the last 6.5 months that maybe you didn't expect going in, that you've learned in this campaign?
You know, I think that I'm fascinated by people and hearing their stories. You know, I guess that's why we love watching movies and stuff, because you love these stories and you're fascinated by stories of resilience, stories of overcoming challenges, and you hear people's stories because, you know, we've all been through challenges. That's just life. Like, we know it's coming. Life's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? These challenges are coming. And the key is that to make sure when these challenges do come, that we're prepared to handle them, whether it's having the right kind of mental health services around, whether it's having clean drinking water or to make sure that we have affordable housing. Because think about this. Think if you go through a challenge, you know, through a divorce, right? Or something challenging, and you don't have a place to put your head down. And then all of a sudden these other things start happening. Or you have a health issue, right? You have somebody that you're close to passes away and you know, maybe you're not as healthy as you should be. Now you have to deal with your health issue. And so we need to create systems that are going to help keep us healthy, keep us safe, that when these challenges do come, we're ready for them. Because I think we're naive to think that, you know, we're not going to have challenges and we're not going to have natural disasters. We're not going to have things that happen. But I think that if you can get in the mindset of let's prehabilitate. Let's make sure we have good early childhood education. Let's make sure that we have the roads and infrastructure so we don't have the congestion. Let's have some forecasting. Let's have some people in the room that are thinkers that can, you know, not predict because you're not going to see, but see where the puck is going.
A little bit of vision. Think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you just mentioned something, and I was talking to a young man yesterday that you just described it. They've been divorced. His wife, ex-wife, and him, they co-parent and all that. But he's looking. I gave her the house. Well, good. That's probably what you should have done. Yeah. But he goes, now I'm looking for like affordable housing, and it's just him and his daughter part time. And I'm like, that is something we're lacking here. And rent is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm hearing things. So that is probably one of the things I'm sure that you wrestle with. How do we, because we want people to make money. If you're a developer, we want you to make money. You know, right? But how do we do this?
So I mean, and I have a personal experience. My son's 30 years old. He's you know, he was out of state for a bit, but's come back, and he's back at home. And he was going to start renting, but I'm like, I have a 4-bedroom house. You need to just stay here. But he's been going through that process trying to find a house. And he graduated college. He works at Marana Health. He's a recovery coach, so he's doing okay. Yeah. But it's expensive, right? here's what I've learned talking to people from the housing world or different people. There's a lot of things that happen when you buy a house for $400,000. I know it's kind of high, but $94,000 of that goes to government, fees, regulate, all these things. So we need to kind of maybe look at some of those fees, those things. They call it a death by 1,000 cuts. How can we reduce some of that stuff? If we're, thinking affordable housing, how can we incentivize developers to do it in a way that's, gonna help everybody and reduce rental costs? So that's happened in Sacramento, right? And I think David looked that up last time. Well, how are they doing it? You have a good supply of housing. Maybe you have some starter homes, some townhomes, some multi-family homes, some different things where you do it in a way that looks nice, because it's the optics too. You don't want just these big old, just buildings or, it's got to be that it can intertwine with our environment, right? So, we need more housing, right? And we need to do that in a responsible way.
You mentioned the word optics, and I won't get into it again. This is more of a personal thing, but optics are really important. Not pretend. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about make-believe, but optics and attitude are so important to a good outcome, right? No matter what you're doing, getting a haircut or working at a job, if you can maintain where you're working, where it's pleasant, it's friendly, there's a good environment. And again, that comes back to the culture. It starts at the top.
We need to, one of my goals is, when I become Pima County Supervisor and, things work out and I avail and things are good, is to have some kind of initiative to make Pima County the most clean, beautiful county there is. Look out for each other. We're not, one of my pet peeves is trash, right? I saw somebody walking the other day and they had and they just threw it on the ground. I'm like, hey, get your,
I'm that guy too.
I mean, my dad, and he was a garbage man, so he would pick stuff up all the time, but I let's just take care of our little area. Yeah. I tell my kids, hey, you wash your own dishes. Yeah. If you wash your own dishes, then there's no dishes to wash, right? Everybody wash their own dishes. I mean, just little things that you think might not make an impact. It's a piece of paper. There's a bunch of trash out there. No, let's just maybe have some kind of a initiative to make Pima County as beautiful as possible. And then what does that do? That brings people that, the industry and businesses that want to make home here. They see how what an amazing place we have, and they want to we take pride in that. We know that this is our home. We need to take care of it, not just for now, but for generations to come. And that's all about the affordable housing stuff, but making whether it's harvesting rainwater, it's making sure that the electricity, how we build is friendly to the environment, so we continue to have a beautiful environment.
I mentioned growth and I'm pro growth and all that, but I don't want to tear this. I mean, we live in one of the most beautiful parts of the planet. And so I want to do that responsibly. You know what I mean? The mountains and the cacti and all the. That's why I'm going to bring up. I'm going to throw something at you right here. Highway 11. I know that's come up a couple of times.
Yeah,
and we all want more transportation, but I don't want to destroy the desert.
That's the whole thing. Like, I think Alpha Valley, they wrote a letter, kind of discouraging that. If you're going to do something like that, you got to have the support of the people that live in that area, right? And that's the challenge. Like I said, if you're living in China, they're just going to build the road. Yeah. They're not going to be inclusive and do something, but we have a voice. The people that live there have a voice, and we need to listen to their voice and figure out what we're doing to have that conversation. So that's important to have those conversations, and who are the stakeholders, and what does this mean? Right. We want to create access, and we want to do things, but we want to do it in a responsible way. You start building freeways down certain areas, well, you put a gas station there, you put a restaurant, so things start sprawling out. So how can we do this in a responsible way so we can make sure that we have our habitat, our environment for years to come and for generations to come?
To me, when I saw the plan in Arizona where they were going to move it through southern Arizona, that was just lazy. So you pick a wide spot where there's not a lot going on. Well, we'll just build a road there. Well, to me, that's just, you're not even, right? I mean.
Well, you got to have, what I loved about when I was part of that Aspen Rising President that Stephanie kind of shared a little bit, it's like a think tank. And all these people come and we come up with innovative ways. And one of the things that I was watching 60 Minutes the other day, and they're building 3D houses, right? And cement, so they're strong structures, and they're starting with housing the most vulnerable, like the homeless. They're doing things at that. Now they're working on a grand scale. They've actually built things for the military, the Marine Corps, these 3D printers where they're cement houses. They're even like having NASA's kind of invested in them, and they want to build, a landing pad on the moon. And these houses, look it up. It's on 60 Minutes. But innovation, we need to look at innovation, how we can do things in a responsible way that we're not, with these cement houses, you're not using as much wood. You don't have all the after, if you cut these 2x4s and you have all this trash out, these 3D houses are being really efficient, right? And so looking at different materials, different things, I know when you go to past certain people that they're building things, you see these big old, like they almost look like foam boards, and they help insulate, right? So that's the kind of way we need to go. We need to look at how we're building and see if there's better ways to do it and be more efficient or more affordable.
You've mentioned a couple things that are just right in my wheelhouse as far as leadership. That's why I think it's so refreshing to. I know you. Full disclosure, we've known each other for a couple of decades. But when I heard you were running, this was what really turned me on, because you just bring a fresh approach. Because we've been doing some of this stuff for a long time, not just locally and state, but just as a society for so long. Yeah. And you ask people, why are we doing it that way? Well, that's the way we've always done it. We're in the 21st century. Matter of fact, we're a quarter of the way through the 21st century. We need people. I would lobby hard, like yourself, that's going to bring a fresh approach. You haven't been doing it that way forever. You're not a politician. You're running for a political office, but this is your first shot at a political office. And I'm inspired because you're a visionary, you're a thinker, you don't know it all, and you want to involve everybody in the process. Then it's your job, then your role as a leader, to take all the information that you've accumulated and make a decision that you think is for the whole. So that's my little personal endorsement for you. But that's the reason, other than loving you and knowing you for a long time, that's why I'm so excited about your candidacy, is we need some new, fresh thinkers making decisions.
And I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think you can, you give me credibility, because the way I am now was the way I was 20 years ago. And if you look at some of the op-eds or letters to the editor that were written, one was from my second grade teacher, Miss Clay.
Who I met.
Yeah, you met her. So she still comes around. And I think, okay, now, when you're in second grade, people know your character. And I was always a kind person. I used to get teased about it. I was always trying to get people to get along and that kind of thing. That's just my nature. Yeah. And then I had another op-ed by a gentleman named Tom Spencer. Tom Spencer's wife, Linda Spencer, was my middle school teacher and PE and stuff. And her husband was Tom Spencer, who played in the big leagues. He used to be the head coach for the Sidewinders. He's coached in the big leagues. He's played in the big leagues. He lives here in Tucson now.
Really?
But he knew me since middle school. And he was our middle school soccer coach. And so he wrote a letter for me. And, I think across the board, people understand that I don't have any personal, agenda, personal policy, that I really want to do good in our community. And I'm not going to get caught up. I'm not trying to get elected to get reelected. I'm trying to get elected to do a job. And I think a lot of times people are trying to get elected to get reelected.
Right.
I could, if I do a good job in these 4 years and you decide to give me another opportunity, I'll take it. But I'm not so worried about keeping my job that I won't do my job. And I think what happens a lot of times in places, and this is even in business, that people are so worried about keeping their job, they don't do their job. That's not me. I'm gonna do what I feel is right. I'm gonna listen to my constituents and my people, and I'm gonna advocate for them, right? And I'm gonna be a voice for them. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because I want people to know that, I'm who I am, and I've always been that way, and I'm a lifelong learner. I want to make sure that we do things right. I want to listen to people, whether they oppose me or agree with me. That's what being, in living here in the United States is all about.
The only difference that I see with you now than I did, say, in 2003, maybe 2002, You got a couple of gray hairs.
Yeah,
and other than
I
that,
got a few gray
when
hairs.
Edgar and I, full disclosure, met at a ballpark down at Pima College.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel that 20 years went by pretty quick, by the way.
No, it does.
But
yeah.
you're the same guy I met leaning against an outfield fence, in 2003.
Yeah, that was a good time. I had good memories about that and coaching and being part of that, because I think that's where I learned to grind. You learn to enjoy the process and realize that you could have worked really hard that day and your team didn't win. Or you could have worked really hard as an individual player and you go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. But understanding that this is a journey. We're playing the long game here, right? And so, the key is always giving your best effort. Yep. Whatever happens, happens. We can't control results sometimes. But if you continue to do that on a continuous basis, you get up, you drink your water, you get good sleep, you meditate, you do these things. And over time, you just start kind of banking these things, right? You start putting them in the bank. And I used to tell my players, just keep putting them in the bank. There's going to be a time you're going to make that huge withdrawal. Yeah. But you've got to stay consistent with it, and you got to have faith, and you just got to. That's why I talk about not the pursuit of happiness, but the happiness of the pursuit. Like there's
exactly,
the joy.
Amen. I like
when
that.
you're
I'm gonna steal that. By the way.
You go right ahead. And so you could working alongside people and working for a common goal. And just kind of learning from each other, understanding that we come from different backgrounds, different maybe socioeconomic backgrounds, but we're all here together, and we got to figure out how to make it work.
You mentioned keep banking it, and you can't control the outcome most times. But we talk about compounding.
Compounding.
You keep compounding long enough, man, it's going to pay big, huge dividends, whether financially or physically or as a team. Yeah. And the thing we do, our motto here at Live the Dream Media, and we do a lot of stuff that other people in the industry would demand a contract. A year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years contract. Yeah. Hey, if you really, really want a contract after we've done a little bit of work together, because a contract's like a marriage. And I'm not sure I want to get married today, and I don't want you. If we're doing our job correctly, you're going to keep coming back. Yeah. If we're not doing our job correctly, you should have no strings attached to go do it with someone else. Yeah. Now, if we like each other and we're doing it long, I use that analogy. I'm not ready to get a ring and run to Vegas today. Right? Yeah. Let's date for a while. Let's get to know each other for a while.
But here's what I think you do, Clint, that I really appreciate about you. You treat everybody like family. Like you treat your clients, everybody like family. So because I know that, like you're gonna do as best for me like you would for your own family. And I've taken that with me. Taking that with me as a leader is that if I treat everybody like family, if I treat every community member like I'd want my own family. Now in family, you have some knuckleheads sometimes,
Thank you for throwing that in there.
You have some people that aren't probably doing the right things, right? But you just don't want to cast them off. You want to go to them. You want to encourage them. You want to give them what they need. You want to try to help them, right? And there's people in our community that probably aren't making great decisions right now that are, still kind of growing and learning. And, our job is to continue to give them access to good information, good environment, so that when they are ready, would they have a positive experience. But if we just cast them off and do things that are unhumane, that doesn't help any of us.
Well, let's talk about that right there, just a little bit, because we do have some members of our family, because that's what they are, making poor choices. You know, you drive down Grant Road, drive down any street in Tucson. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying it. And Edgar, if you've got the answer, then we're going to put you up for the Nobel Peace Prize right now, but. Have you've thought about this, and you have personal circumstances with people that you've reached out, you're working with. Let's dig into that just a little bit.
I'm going to tell you that there was a gentleman in my life. His name's Curtis Flanagan. Actually, he was on Facebook with me. He was actually my Little League coach at Western, but then he was at Tucson High. He was a sheriff for a while, or in law enforcement, corrections maybe, but a big, buff African-American guy that was my idol back in the day when I was 12 years old, and then he was my coach. And that guy, he's athletic. He played football at Tucson High, won state championships, went to NAU, was a running back. And just, he was just a key figure.
Curtis may be a friend of mine, or a family member of mine. Did you know my mother's maiden name is Flanagan?
Oh, really? So one of the things, so when I was coaching baseball at Tucson High, I was a young coach. I was my first year coaching, and there was this kid that was a really good player, but was a knucklehead. He would get in trouble. He wouldn't do this and that. And I was like, man, I kind of wanted to write him off. And I go to Curtis, because Curtis was coaching football there at Tucson High at the time. And he was like a monitor. He was retired, was a monitor. I'm like, Kurt, this kid, man, I'm tired of him. I can't, I'm done with him. I'm not helping me. What do you do? Like this guy. And he just looked at me and said, you just keep trying.
Yeah.
You just keep trying. And that's where like a light bulb went off for me. Like, you don't give up on somebody you care about. And so you talk about my former student athlete, Ingalls, right, who's in and out of rehab and of all kinds of things. I know in his heart there is an amazing human being in there, and I've seen it firsthand. Mm-hmm. I mean, when he played for me at Pima, he made every early morning workout 6 a.m. He made every practice, was never late. He gave his heart and soul, hustled. I mean, I got so many stories about this guy that I can tell you. So I know it's in there, and he's had some challenges, dependency, all kinds of things going on. But I just keep trying. And I've had people tell me, like, why do you keep, he needs to figure it out. Yeah, I'm not going to enable him, right. But I'm going to be here and meet him where he's at. Yeah. And I'm going to keep trying. And he's gotten a lot better. I mean, he actually created a nonprofit. It's called Underground United. Mm-hmm. Underground United is a nonprofit group that's made up of homeless people. And so we've had a couple meetings. I'm on their board, right? And we've had a couple meetings, and I talk to them. And, just find out what they need, what's going on, because, sometimes the people closest to the problem or closest to the solution. Right. So you can imagine we've only had a couple meetings that haven't shown up all the time. But here's what I've learned. Yeah. I was talking to this guy, Miguel. This guy, like, he's fit. He's looking. I said, hey, like, man, you can't get a job. He's, man, I need a place to take a shower because I got to get to work. And then, then someone else told me, my disability or my access is all messed up and I need help kind of figuring that stuff out. So, we're trying to direct them to resources and to different things, because there's some very, some places that have the support, they're very compassionate, but not everybody knows where to go to get that. So this Underground United is kind of helping them, creating these opportunities so people can get the services that they need to get better.
Mm-hmm. I have to hook you up with a friend of mine. His name is Sam Nagy. Mm-hmm. Do you know Sam?
Sounds familiar.
Big redheaded guy, big bird. He was homeless for a number of years, and he is now doing the outreach. He's even got a shower on wheels type program. I think it's called.
I've heard that in some cities.
Cloud, yeah. I'll have to hook you up with him, and they provide a lot of resources. So, Sam, if you're out there, we're going to give you a plug. We're going to give
let's
Edgar
get connected.
the connection.
And that's the other thing. Okay, so that what you've helped me with is creating a network. There's this guy, Grant Cardone. He wrote 10X. Now, he's pretty extreme, but he talks about how your network equals your net worth. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about in the financial sense, right? I'm talking about in the social sense. Your network equals your mental health and your other because if you know where to go, right? One of the amazing things through this process, I've got connected with a lot of people, and I've been able to connect a lot of people, right? So one of the things that's happened, I've met people like the president of the U of A, Bobby Robbins, or General McDonald, who was the general leading you are not the Air Force, but Air National Guard out here, and so Jerry Stitt. Like, I have a network of people that I can call and ask them questions, and hey, how do you deal with this? And that has really helped me because it's kind of given me access to good information.
Right.
People say if you're smart, you learn from your mistakes, but if you're really smart, you learn from other people's mistakes. So people can tell me, hey, don't step there, step over here. I met this lady last night. Her name is Joanne De Flippo. She helps with the horse track.
Yeah.
But and she's like, I was just listening to her speak, and I was like, hey, this lady's probably forgotten more about county politics and this than I'll ever know. But the first thing I did is hey, here's my card, and I'm going to reach out to you because I want to learn. Like, I want to learn the experiences you had so that we don't start at the start line trying to figure stuff out. We start over here because we know what the playing field looks like. We know what's going on, so we can start at another level, right? So,
our good friend, mutual friend, who I'm going to have lunch with tomorrow, Mayor Ed Honey of Marana. We talk about this ad nauseum. It's all about relationships. It's all about I wish I'd have I've always been a relationship guy. You've always been a relationship guy. But I wish I'd have been able to express that a little better as a younger person, right? That lean into relationships. I would say it starts with your relationship with God, your higher power, and it starts within the people that are the closest to you. And if you can build solid, not selfish, not self-centered relationships, I'm talking about, I'm going to use the Bible again. Love your neighbor as yourself. Period. There's no asterisk. There's no, except those that don't look like you, or those that don't act like you, or those that are in need. There's no qualifier there. It just says love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. That's hard to do, by the way. I'll be the first to admit that. But isn't that really, when not a conversation goes by with Ed and myself, the word relationship doesn't come up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of, I think, for me, has been key, is just creating those solid relationships. And even through this campaign, I feel like maybe my opponents that are running, they're trying to create these relationships. For me, it's activating relationships that I've already had and then organizing them and helping me. But, I think that when people can, just listen, like sit there and listen. So most of the time when I'm dealing with somebody at Pima Community College as a vice president, they've either done something really good or something really bad. So sometimes I get people in my office that are upset, right, that something didn't go right. And so, sometimes they're not that friendly with me, right? They're kind of just, and I remember one of my colleagues was saying, why did you not yell at that guy back? Like he was all over you. And I said, you know what? I treat him like a gentleman because that's who I am. That's not who he is. I'm not going to change who I am because somebody comes at me some sort of way and tries to change me. The other thing, the Dalai Lama, I know you talked about the Bible. I'm going to throw a little Buddhism in there, but the Dalai Lama talks about how when somebody comes in kind of angry, that, what am I doing to make him feel that way? And then I'm like, wait, what? That kind of flips it. But, so those things, so some of the, historical religious stuff, or where Jeremiah 29:11 in the Bible says, "For I know the plans I have for you, not plans of destruction, but plans for a future and a hope," right? So some of these things that we look at, we've got to be able to kind of just not get caught up in this moment here, and then realize that, hey, there's something bigger out here. Let me figure out how I can make this a positive, and that we can both leave this place saying, okay, we're going to work towards a solution.
Yeah, we may not. I always use this analogy with my wife. We've been married 33 years. We work together. Amazing. We carpool together. We do all that stuff together. And yet we disagree with each other quite a bit. Yeah. We're forced to because of our closeness and how we deal with stuff. But you know what? Never once for me, and I'm going to speak for her as well, have I ever felt like that affected my love for her. Yeah. So we disagree. Yeah, you like it hot, I like it cold. You don't like it this. So what? It's okay.
Bob Marley has a quote that says, "Everybody you love is going to hurt you. You just got to pick the ones that are worth it," right? Hey, man, like I said, we're human beings. Yeah. We're not going to always, be at the highest level, making the best decisions. And that's the thing. We got to be compassionate with ourselves, and I think sometimes we do something that wasn't the best thing or the best idea, and when we're hard on our own selves and we feel bad. No, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go, and every moment is a moment to turn it all around. And you can't get caught up in the past. You can't get too anxious about the future. Just do your best in this moment. Hey, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just leave it right there.
I love it. Hey, quick thing. I mean, you've really, throughout this campaign, you've really thrown yourself out there, and you've been willing to have these long discussions. You've been willing to talk to whoever's willing to listen or to share their story. And I think the biggest challenge at this point now in winning an election, because you're new to this, is how do you do that? And the way you do that is with votes, obviously. But I'd like to kind of steer it as we close to why we need people to vote and how they can vote for you. And like as an example, can somebody that's an independent that lives in your district, can they show up at a polling place and vote for you on that day? Or what do they have to do so that we get this across the
you could show up that day, July 30th, at the polling place and vote. But what makes more sense is you've got to request a ballot. You got to July 19th, I think, is the deadline to request, because independents could vote Republican or Democrat. You know, me being a Democrat, you've got to be a Democrat to vote for me. And if you're independent, you got to request a ballot to vote for me in the primary. So that's the challenge, because, you know, it's not easy. And most people are not, you know, they're not into politics as much as they are into other things, right? Whether it's just taking care of their family, their job. So, but these things are important, because if we want to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place, the programs in place to have a thriving county, we need to get out there and vote. So, I mean, I think that's the important ththing, is you got to get out there and vote. And I know there's a lot of independents. So how do they
request a ballot, I guess?
So you go on Pima.gov, and there's a portion there that talks about elections, and you can just, you know, maybe I can share the link, and then you can share it out to get people to do that. I'll do that.
One thing I did, I threw in our feed, because a lot of people don't even know who their district supervisor is, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But what we've thrown in there is the link, so that you can see like where you actually live.
Yeah, you can put in your address, actually.
To put that in there, because so you can figure out who you're voting for, and if you live in District 3. And do you have like an overall just kind of issue, a surrounding boundary for people on where District 3 is?
So it's interesting. So it's really far west of like I-10. So a lot of west of I-10. But if you go down like Grant and you go all the way to Swan, and then you kind of curve around River, like inside a river between Grant and up to Swan, in between Grant and River, and then it's like a little bit east of the I-10, and then it's like all of Marana, all the way to the border of Pinal County. But then it's way west, so way west, and then when you get to the south of Valencia, it's all the way down to Mexico. So Ajo, 3 Points, and 134 miles of border. It's 7,000 square miles, so it's pretty huge. It's pretty huge. But the majority of voters are like in this little dense area, like in that Flowing Wells, Winter Haven area. Those are the ones that are voting. Everybody's going to these places to try to get the votes, but I'm going everywhere. Yeah, I'm going all over the place.
You know, and there's not only is there early balloting and then mail-in balloting, but you can also go to the polls and check that on the Pima.gov.
There's a bunch of different precincts.
Dates.
Yeah, you could go to the precincts and you could turn in your ballot or
and or vote. I think the weekend before up through the 30th.
Yeah, I don't know if you could turn in. I thought it was the 30th, but it might be the weekend
you
before.
Can do an early. You can do an early, like early.
You can go. Okay.
You can vote early in a couple of these places.
I'm learning stuff all the time. Yeah, I've been on that.
I'm not going to quote the exact times, but that's all on Pima.gov .elections.
Got it. Okay. Yep. Yeah, Pima.gov, put in your address.
In your feed there.
Yep.
Pima.gov.
They don't make it. It's not made easy. To be honest about it, with the drawing of the lines, and you got to do this and stand on one leg when you. But you know what? I'm going to encourage people, even though it's not real easy to do it. You got to do it.
You got to do it. Yes.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, then don't. I don't want to hear from you on the 31st.
Yeah, even if you don't vote for me, go out there and vote. I mean, that's
the
reality.
Vote for Edgar.
Yeah,
vote for Edgar.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna go so far to say, get that Democratic ballot, vote for Edgar, and then just go home.
Yeah, and then in the general, everybody can vote for me. Anybody.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Scott.
We appreciate it. All the way back from the islands to make this thing happen. Edgar, as always, man, we stand ready to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep.
Hey, thanks to all of our viewers, our listeners today. Thank you, guys. Have a great week. Get out there and vote. We need you.